potato pie. So today I am making a cheese and potato slab pie from Extra Good Things. So I've already started lining my pastry tin with the pastry. This is just shop bought puff pastry that I've rolled out a bit to thin it out a bit more and make it kind of fit my tin. And then I've just put it in and I'm just easing it up the sides. You don't need to be too careful. It'll all come together at the end, you'll see. And I'm going to pop it in the fridge while I get on with the filling. See you later. Sorry. Okay, so my pastry is in the fridge. So now I'm going to make the filling. So I've got some potatoes here. I'm using King Edward, so something sort of floury and delicious, basically. You can pretty much use any other sort of similar variety. What you don't want to use is something like a new potato. It's a bit too sort of firm and waxy for this. And then I'm going to use a mandolin to thinly slice the potatoes. So I want them super thin. So a bit like if you were making a gratin, like a dauphinoise. Obviously, the thinner they are, the better they'll cook. If you are using a mandolin, I should say they come with a finger guard. If you're not used to using one, I would recommend you use a finger guard. Okay, so my potatoes have all been thinly sliced. So now I'm gonna add some Gruyere cheese. I say some, it's actually quite a lot. Again, you can use cheddar, Emmental, but I like the nuttiness that Gruyere brings. And it has a nice melting quality, which I think is really good. And then I'm just gonna crumble in some feta, because why not? What is life without feta? And then these are the spring onions that have been thinly sliced / roughly chopped, all in. And mint, which I'm just gonna chop. It's quite liberating to just go to town on some herbs. And then same with some parsley. Okay, that's it. In. Okay, and then to that I'm going to add some roughly chopped green olives. Don't be too shy with the salt. Potatoes soak up a lot of seasoning. Obviously not too much because there's cheese in there, but you know what I mean. And then loads of black pepper. Be super generous. So I'm just going to go in and mix it. And the potatoes tend to sort of clump together. So as you're mixing, you want to try and sort of separate them as much as you can, just so that there's an even distribution of herbs and cheese in between the potatoes. So that's the filling. I'm now just going to grab my pastry and go on with the next step. So this looks like a lot of potato, a lot of filling for the pie, but I assure you it really isn't. It's going to really cook down as it bakes, but you do have to sort of pack it in. So I'm packing the potato really quite tightly and making sure that I'm sort of pushing into the corners. You don't need to be scared. The pastry is nice and firm because it's been in the fridge. Basically, if you get flustered making a pie, so will your pastry. So always nice and calm. So that's it, every last bit. Done. Okay, so this is my second piece of pastry. I'm going to do the same as for the first, but not as much rolling. I'm only going to widen it a little bit. So basically just a little bit to make sure that it will cover the top. You can stretch it. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside. And I am going to add the creamy egg filling. So in here I've got some eggs, an extra yolk, and some cream and some creme fraiche. I'm just going to whisk it up carefully. And pour this all over. So you want to go careful here, because if you pour too quickly, it'll kind of, you need to give it time to sort of sink in between the layers of potato. So, and again, this looks like it's a lot of cream and egg, but it will all fit. And I haven't seasoned this because we seasoned the potatoes. And again, the cheese is plenty salty on their own. Okay, so now the filling is in. I'm gonna place my top on the top and just drape it over. Pretend you're making a bed. And now you want to tuck this sort of in between the potato and the bottom layer of pastry. Okay, as much as you can. Okay, so any excess, you can just, with a pair of scissors, trim. Okay. So now I've got some egg wash here, just an egg whisked together, and brush liberally all over. So with the bottom pastry that's sort of left hanging out, I'm just going to like pull it up and sort of using my fingers to pinch and just pull it up over the top layer. So this is all nice. And then just for some added security, I'm going to use the fork to just sort of press down. And I'm dipping it in flour just so that it doesn't stick. And it already looks a little bit neater. And again, those edges will sort of puff up when it bakes. And I'm just going to cover the edges in more egg wash. Not everyone feels confident working with pastry, so if you feel, again, at any point this is getting too hot for you, just put it in the fridge. So I'm gonna make some slits along the top. These are, they basically will act like a vent, so that as the pie bakes, it will release the steam. If you don't do that, it will have a tendency to explode. So basically the steam has to go somewhere. And actually it will also stop the pie from being soggy, because that steam will come out of the pie and you'll be left with a nicely cooked filling and crisp pastry outside. Okay, and then I'm gonna finish with some sesame seeds. So I've lightly buttered my tin and I've lined it with a piece of parchment paper that comes up along the long edge on both sides by about 2-3 centimeters, and that's to help me lift the pie out later. Okay, so that's it. If you wanted to get ahead, you could chill this for a few hours or even overnight, actually, before baking. But I'm gonna, I'm impatient, basically, I want to eat it. So I'm going to put it in now. So I've got the oven at 180 degrees Celsius. So let's get it in. Okay, so I'm putting it in a 180 degrees Celsius oven for 30 minutes, at which point I'm going to turn it and bake it for another 30 minutes. So while the pie is baking, I'm going to make an extra good thing to serve alongside in the form of a salsa verde. So that's all our fresh herbs. That's the basil, mint and parsley. And then to that I'm going to add some roughly torn green olives, some anchovies for a bit of funk and umami, some garlic, just roughly chopped rather, not shopped, and apple cider vinegar, and then some salt. Again, you want to be careful with the salt because the olives and the anchovies are quite salty, so go careful. You can always add, you can't take away, some pepper, and then half the oil. So I'm just pulsing the herbs just because it gives me more control. It has happened where I've hit the auto button and you'll have a pesto in no time, which is not what we want. So this is what I'm looking for. So I can see pieces of olives and the herbs are finely chopped, but they haven't turned into mulch. Okay, so now I'm just going to pour in the rest of the oil. So this will loosen the whole thing up and make it more saucy. And then you can actually see the olive oil, which is nice. All right, so the oven has had an hour. So we're going to take it out and it looks beautiful. Look at that. It's puffed up hugely. So all those bits that didn't maybe look so neat when we were folding the pastry edges over, it's all evened out and baked beautiful. This will sink down a little bit as it cools. And now I'm going to leave that for about an hour, just so that it cuts nicely and doesn't all sort of ooze out. And again, just to cool down, let the flavors mingle. So we have to be patient a little bit longer.
Sure.
This is Jake.
Hi.
He's our newest member of the team. We're very, very happy to have him. And he's just super amazing at what he does. And he loves to eat pie as much as I do, I think.
I know, I say this quite a lot, but I do think we were separated at birth.
When it comes to food taste, definitely. How big?
That looks perfect, let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, ooh. One for you.
Perfect.
One.
Not sure if you subconsciously gave me the bigger slice, but I'm very happy you did. Are you ready? Right. Cheers, Verena.
Cheers.
Unbelievable, nice one. So good.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much you want to film with this.
I know. And it's such a nice combination. I mean, it seems like a lot of carbs, but it works, right? And everything tied up in a neat parcel.
I reckon you could probably eat it with a knife and fork. I won't try, but...
We could, but that would be boring.
Yeah, that's so good.
And the salsa is so delicious with it. It's really tasty. Yum.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Okay, one.
All right, fine. With Verena's salsa verde, I'm gonna make an extra good thing, which is a fridge-made pasta with sardines, shallots, golden raisins, pine nuts, a touch of saffron, and the star of the show, the zingy, vibrant salsa verde. So to start, we're gonna get a pan of salty boiling water on the go, which we've got here. Once that's up and ready to go, we'll add in our pasta, which the packet tells us to cook for about 10 minutes, so we'll cook it for about 7 to 8 just to get it nice and al dente. So we've used trophy pasta, but you could use penne or any kind of fusilli or whichever you've got lying around, really, won't really affect it too much. So while the pasta's just gone in, we'll add a touch of the saffron. While the pasta's cooking, we're gonna get our pan on a heat with a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna add our shallots. So we're gonna sweat these shallots for about 3 to 4 minutes, just until they start to turn translucent and start to melt into the oil in the pan. So the shallots have been frying for a few minutes. We're just gonna add some pine nuts so they gently toast and awaken in the hot oil. The onions are starting to turn translucent and the pine nuts are getting a tiny bit of colour in them. So at this point, we're going to add in our sardines. You're just gonna chop through them nice and chunky, and we're just gonna throw them in to the sauce. A good grind of pepper. We're gonna add a small ladleful of this lovely saffron pasta water, and we'll begin to build our sauce up. We'll throw in our raisins. We'll get one more ladle full of the pasta water into our sardine and pine nut mixture. Give that a nice stir. That's looking great. So we'll pass off our pasta now, it's good to go. And add that into our sardine mix. So we've got a really silky and sexy sauce developing. We're gonna add about 3 tablespoons of this delicious salsa verde. And we're ready to plate. Got a really lovely, unctuous bowl of pasta there. That's it, we're good to go. And so this is my extra good thing. It's salsa verde and sardine pasta.
much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All the links you need are in the description below. Leave some comments. Let us know what you did with your extra good things. We'd love to hear all of your ideas. Bye.
So today we are making forgot the name of it already. It's my pie and I don't even know what it's called.